Hi, I'm here to talk to you today about the balance between motor and cognition and why it's so important with our kids that we support with S2C. So I thought about this a lot, and it came to me while I was milking cows of all things. But that's really not a surprise because I've been milking cows for almost 25 years, almost every day, twice a day. So all those movements have become automatic for me. So it allows my brain for higher levels of thinking and to think of new ways of solving problems and creating things, which I often do while I'm milking cows. So this is why it's so important with the kids that we support, that we allow them lots of practice with functional movement and movement actions so that those movements can become automatic for them. So we can do this in a lot of ways, and one way is with exercise. And exercise is very interesting because it's not only grows new neurons and new nerve pathways, and it also helps with health. We know that. We need that help with our kids because of the obesity rates. And it also helps with motivation and alertness, which we really want when we work with our kids on the letterboards. And it's a great way to incorporate a lot of functional movements. And also, I'm really excited here at Spectrum Acres, and especially in the community garden, how we could use the movement and actions of extension, flexion, pronation, supination, and rotation. Just for example, going to pick a pumpkin out of the pumpkin patch and putting in a wagon uses a lot of those movements. And also the functional movements of pushing and pulling, like hoeing would do that, squatting and hinging, and rotation. Even going to bend over to pick a bean off a bean plant to harvest a bean would use a lot of those motions. So it's really cool that those functional movements of doing all those things could be generalized to their activities of daily living or IADLs or whatever they want to work for that we can advocate for. So a lot of times our kids also need lots of practice with their gross motor and their fine motor skills, and the gross motor being the arm, like a big muscle, and then the fine motor being the smaller, more intricate muscle. So even the act of bending over and picking up a weed would do all of that. And they also need help often with their ocular motor, their oral motor, and their visual motor, hand-eye. And to me, going out to the labyrinth and blowing bubbles and tracking them would really work on that. A lot of our kids also have trouble with bilateral integration, and bilateral integration would show that both brains are communicating effectively to each other. So going outside and climbing, like crawling up Groundhog Hill would integrate that and work on that bilateral integration. A lot of our kids also have trouble with crossing midline in the three different planes, and the sagittal, the frontal, and the transverse. So even picking up a ball and tossing it back and forth over the volleyball net and catching it, allow them to bend, twist, move, walk backwards, and incorporate all that crossing midline. So that's really cool to me, and we can help our kids and we can generalize those movements to the different things for them. So it reminds me a lot of the movie Karate Kid, where the sensei breaks down the motor actions in a certain way for the Karate Kid to wax on and wax off. So he has to wax on the wax on the car a certain way and wax off on the car a certain way, and he has to do it over and over and over again. He does that so that those neuron pathways become myelinated and things become automatic. And then he was able to generalize it to the competition. So he was able to think of different ways of competing because all of those actions became automatic. So he was fighting his hands were going the right way, and ultimately he was able to defeat his opponent because of all that work and preparation beforehand. So this is why it's really important with our kids that we support, and it also increases their self-esteem, their self-worth, and it helps with a bonus of unlocking that higher level of thinking, the creation, and the ideas that our very intelligent kids that we support have to offer.